Hi, this is Paul again. I've made another video for you. I am calling it the Multi-Latitude 5-vector 3D processor. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I've made some new important discoveries. I have found additional vectors. I have found these vectors are distributed in rings, just like the latitude rings that we have on the world atlas. Now in front I'm showing you 5 nested cubes. Now there are 10-20 vectors all matching the colors of the cubes. I'm also showing the Dodeca vectors. These are single color and there's a little orange ball. And notice that the cubes show a pentagon arrangement around that orange ball. I think anybody can see that there is definitely no chaos to this arrangement. Okay, these 5 cubes, they form a dodeca. So let's bring the dodeca in. Now look at each of the 12 faces of the dodeca. The 5 cube edges of different colors all form a pentagram, and there's a pentagon in the center. Isn't that something? I've decided to take a better look at that pentagon in the center, because the pentagon is made up of 5 intersections of 2 colors. So I think each of these intersections could produce another vector. So I'm going to change this into the spherical version. And now we'll spin it around and you can see these geodesics from the 5 cubes. Oh, the geometry is perfectly interrelated and very symmetrical. You can see that I'm rotating about the red and yellow vector. This is like the north and south pole. Okay, we'll leave it in this position and then I'm going to bring the new vectors in. Okay, how about that? Now we've added another 60 vectors. It's actually 30 vectors, but they go through the center point to the other side, so that makes 60. And we are also showing the 10-20 Dodeca vectors and the 6-12 Dodeca vectors. And I've showed in my earlier videos that these 32 vectors gives us the A-type, B-type and Z-type DNA. Big question is, what are these vectors for? In the physics department, they look like skyrmions, magnetic skyrmions. But in the biology department, are they for protein or are they virus? What are they? It seems all these discoveries I've made in 3 dimensions has never got one comment from academics. Anyways, I got something else to show you. We have in front a total of 92 vectors. Now all these vectors line up to 30 geodesic rings from the 5 cubes. Now this wonderful geometric order doesn't stop there. What I have found is that all these vectors, they all line up to longitude and latitude rings. And most people are familiar with this type of system. You can see that this latitude and longitude system is based around the red and yellow vector. It's like the north and south pole. But this red and yellow vector is only one of 10. This will go from the other vectors also of the dodeca 10 different ways. Now I'm going to rotate the rings from the red and yellow vector to the purple and green vector. If we rotate 120 degrees, we can go from the purple green to the cyan and green. So how about we give it a spin around the cyan and green and take a look at it. So now it's simple to see that we have a wonderful 3-dimensional order. And I've shown this beginning with Cubic Wonder 10 years ago, and I've kept showing order since. But I guess the intellectuals think that chaos is far more superior. They obviously shut their eyes to any of this 3D geometry. Okay, let's go back to the 30-60 vectors again. Now you can see I've changed the latitude rings of the sphere into different colors. I think people could get them colored sections and start splitting them to studying the angles and stuff like that. That's when they can do research on diseases, vectors, and all that stuff. Let's take a look at this in the top view. Now you can see that these vectors are basically in a hexagon fashion, because a lot of scholars are showing theories of sections of 8. I think they're using the geometry of a cube that's sitting flat on a table. But my cubes are sitting vertical on a point, north to south, and that gives you a 6-sided geometry. But they probably say, who am I to change the system? Now we'll go back to the Dodeca vectors on their own. Now you can see the green section is the Yucatan section, and I showed this was giving us A DNA and Z DNA. I'll give you a glimpse of the top view. And you can see 3 edges of the cube, and the shorter lengths are exactly golden ratio. And the top pink triangle, which I call 369, that is the edges of the cube also. Now I'll show you this spherical. And you can see by going from straight edges to spherical edges, the vertices are all in the same position. I can show you this in the front view also, because some people keep telling us that there are no straight lines in space. Okay, now I'll show you the icosa, and I'll show you the latitude rings. Now you can see that the latitude rings of the icosa are going around the red and yellow Dodeca vector. Now I showed earlier that the blue longitude rings went through the icosa vectors also, but the icosa has longitude rings of its own. So let's take a look. This is an important feature because the icosa, it can be separate from the Dodeca, and it can form a spiral around the Dodeca vector, as I've showed in BDNA in my earlier videos. I think I've covered most of the stuff of this vector infrastructure. Now I've put an anim together to show you more of this system. In front I show a green Y vertical vector, and I'm showing a red X horizontal vector. Now if I rotate the sphere a little bit, you can see I show a Z blue vector. Now you can see that the green vector is the only one that lines up with the red ball. Now that I show as the red and yellow vector. I'm not showing it at the moment. Now you can see that the red vector doesn't line up with any ball, nor does the blue vector, Z vector, line up with any ball. But all these balls are for the vectors of 3D geometric order. But the chaos theory mathematics are based around the red and green vector. It's just a 2-dimensional plane. Now anybody can see that it's got nothing to do with this vector system of 3-dimensional order. So I think anybody with a little bit of common sense can see that this multi-vector system of order makes it plain to see that chaos theory has led us down the garden path for about 60 years. So I think I've said enough. So this is Paul saying thank you very much for watching my video.